Hey everybody, welcome to Summer Associate Hub's first virtual recruiting event of the school year. Our live virtual 1L program showcase featuring some great firms, Goodwin, Proskauer, Willkie, and Lowenstein. A fantastic program to start off the year, one of my favorites that we host. My name is Albert from Summer Associate Hub. I'm proud to have all of you here. Before we jump in, quick intro. So what is Summer Associate Hub? Summer Associate Hub is a free content and resource hub for law students embarking on the 1L and 2L recruiting process. I'm a former law student and big law associate. We know from our own experience how hard it is as a 1L to understand what it's really like to work as a lawyer and engage with firms. Our platform, summerassociatehub.com, has blog posts, podcast episodes, short video tutorials and exercises, interviews with attorneys, and other content to help you learn about practice areas and prepare for the recruiting process. We also host live virtual programs, which you know about because you are watching one right now, where students can easily learn directly from and network with law firm attorneys and recruiting team members. We have some really nice programs scheduled, not only right now, but for the spring semester, including our intro to transactional practice areas, such as M&A and finance, intro to litigation practice areas, and speed networking. Those are just a few of what we have coming up in the spring. So stay tuned on our newsletter for updates on that. We also host an in-person job fair in May, so stay tuned for details on that. The best way to stay updated, sign up for our newsletter, summerassociatehub.com/newsletter. But don't worry, if you're signed up for this event, then you are automatically added to our newsletter. So that's great. Okay, so jumping into our event, the virtual 1L program showcases a one-of-a-kind, giving law students direct access to hear from firms about their 1L programs and how law students can best position themselves as candidates. So here's the agenda. Each firm will provide a short presentation about their 1L summer program. Each presentation will be 5 minutes. Panelists, keep in mind, 5 minutes. After the firms present, we'll have a short panel discussion with super helpful insights on applying as a 1L, choosing a law firms, and other topics. It's going to be really helpful, so make sure you stick around. At the end of each presentation, the firms have also graciously offered to raffle off some pretty awesome swag. I wish I could join the raffle, but I cannot. We'll post the links in the chat to join the raffle. Summer Associate was also raffling off Apple AirPods Pro 2. So stick around for that prize, graciously sponsored by us. You also have the option to have your name shared with firms and the fact that you attended this program. It's always good to show that you've engaged with firms. So same link, I'm going to share it in the chat. Stay tuned. You click that link, you can join the raffle. You can confirm if you want your name to be shared and that you attended this program. And that's great. You have to be present to win. So stick around, and we will be calling your name live on the air if you win. So keep that in mind if you sign up. At the end of the panel, about 8:15 Eastern time, each firm will host a separate breakout room where you could pop in, you could ask questions, you can meet some of the firm's team members. The breakout rooms will all be available through this Zoom event. So stay tuned for easy instructions on that. When the time comes, you'll be able to join each room through this Zoom functionality. We're very tech savvy here. All right, so the chat is not public, but the Q&A is a great way to ask any questions you have. Pop it in the Q&A, anything interesting you want to say, and I'll be checking that throughout the evening. And then please make sure you keep the chat open for different sign-up links we're going to be sharing. You could sign up with the firm's mailing list and different information as we go through the program. All right, so let's get started. Here we go. So the first firm to present about their 1L program, I'm going to kick it off to Kevin Lamb, representing Goodwin. So Kevin, take it away.
All right, thank you, Albert, and thanks everyone for joining this program. I think I've got my colleague Tyler here, who will be controlling the our deck and kind of moving through it for you all. So I don't know, Albert, if the deck is coming up.
Yeah,
or...
Sure. Tyler, I've just promoted you as a presenter, so look out for that.
Perfect, thank you. Awesome. Okay, so while that's getting set up, I can just talk a little bit about Goodwin generally. I think we are, a firm that really kind of focuses and has kind of a strategic focus on certain industries and markets, and those include private equity, life sciences, technology, financial services, and real estate. So those are really, that's kind of been a strategic decision that the firm made, probably starting 10, 15 years ago. And it really is, kind of the main core and driver of what we do as a firm. So I just wanted to kind of give that overview and backdrop as we set things up. Great. So we can go to the agenda, talk a little bit more about Goodwin. Again, I mentioned our core industries, talk about our office locations, workplace culture, and then really dive into, our 1L Diversity Fellowship Program. So if we could go to the next slide. So this just talks about, our global footprint. We've got, offices in 16 different cities. We've got about 2,000 lawyers and about, 2,800 folks generally. And so, as I mentioned, our focus is really to excel in those markets and industries where, technology and kind of innovative thinking is important, okay? And so, here on this slide, you can see, the industries that I mentioned. So both on the corporate and litigation side of things, we really try and excel and serve clients that are in the private equity, life sciences, technology, financial services, and real estate industries. And, what we're finding in the world generally is a lot of convergence. And so you'll see interplay, between these industries as well. So for example, you'll see prop tech companies that are really kind of operating at the intersection of real estate and technology, or you'll see life sciences companies that are using AI and data analysis, which is historically more kind of in that technology bucket. But you'll see kind of the cross-pollination and convergence between those industries. And of course, private equity, those, private equity firms are investing and buying and selling a lot of companies in the technology and life sciences and financial services space, et cetera. So while we kind of create silos like this, there is a lot of interplay among and between these areas of focus. All right, so what is it like to work at Goodwin? I think, the hallmark of Goodwin's culture is multifaceted, but I would say that the things that we really value are collaboration, innovative thinking, legal excellence, and and kind of working as a team, right? And so part of that is making sure, part of ensuring that everyone can do that is ensuring that they are properly supported and have as much as anyone can have a healthy work-life balance, right? So we'll talk more about the affinity groups and resource groups on the next slide, but this is sort of an example list of things that Goodwin does to help support its attorneys. So that includes things like our quarterly book club, which allows staff and attorneys to expense up to 3 books per quarter, and also host discussion groups. Recharge on Goodwin is a program that we have for our associates who, if you meet your billable hour targets, you can have your vacation, covered for up to, $5,000, right, for your vacation. We also subsidize wellness programs like Ride Panda and Peloton and things like that. We've got a global rotation program that allows associates to go, outside the U.S., or if you're outside the U.S., in the U.S., for up to 6 weeks. We've got culture champions that are kind of locally in each office and are dedicated to making sure that, our culture is cultivated, whether through social events or other programming. And so we've, kind of got other things like that. So if we could go to the next slide, this to me is kind of an important part of what we do. And, we want to make sure that no matter, where you're from or what your identity is, that you feel supported and included at Goodwin. So this is an example of some of the kind of, affinity and resource groups that we have at Goodwin. So that includes CRED, which is our Committee on Racial and Ethnic Diversity, also Women at Goodwin and Pride at Goodwin. And we also have employee resource groups that cover, disability, first generation, parenting, veterans, caring for the aging or ill, Muslim network, and the Jewish network. All right, so we can dive now into some of the details of our 1L Diversity Fellowship. So the structure of our fellowship is a 10-week program following your 1L year of law school. And so the idea is that you really get the opportunity to get the summer associate experience and work on challenging cases or negotiations or deals. You learn new skills through formal training. You get to network with other summer associates and attorneys and affinity group leaders. We also have our 1L diversity fellows participate in the LCLD 1L Scholars Summit. And as I mentioned, the program is essentially, just like any other summer associate. So you're also paid the standard summer associate salary. And then the idea, the hope is that, if you're a 1L diversity fellow, you will come back to Goodwin for your 2L summer. And as part of that, then there would be a $50,000 scholarship that would be distributed in three installments. So if we go to the next slide,
Kevin, I apologize. I want to make sure we stay on time. Is there any last point you want to make before we move on?
Yeah, no, just I hope you all find this interesting and apply. All
right, thanks a lot, Kevin. Sorry
no
to
problem.
cut it a bit short. All right, so let's keep moving according to schedule. So next in the agenda, Lowenstein. So Peter, take it away.
Good evening, folks. Trying to share my screen. Give me 1 second. Did I succeed? I see nodding. Fantastic. So thanks, everybody. Peter Slocum. I'm an attorney at Lowenstein Sandler Litigation Department. I'm the hiring partner. I do most of my stuff in the state of New Jersey, but obviously the firm has much broader breadth than just all of that. So the firm itself, we are a national law firm. We have over 350 lawyers and aspirations to grow much larger. We have 5 offices, 3 on the East Coast, New York, New Jersey, DC, large presence on the East Coast in Palo Alto, and also an office in Utah. We, like many other firms in our sector, we virtually represent almost everybody in the sector and the global economy, but particular strengths in technology, life sciences, and investment funds on the corporate side, and litigation that spreads throughout all of that. There are core values. In the interest of time, as you can see that on our website, I think the stuff that you can't see on our website, which I think is probably more interesting for you. So the program itself, it is 10 weeks. It starts just after your finals are done, and it ends before the fall program begins, and you work with all the summer associates in the law firm at the same time. So there are approximately 30 of them. About 2 of which are 1Ls and the rest are 2Ls. And obviously the goal is for the 1Ls to have a fantastic time and then come back as 2Ls. And for the 2Ls to have a fantastic time and come back as practicing lawyers in the firm. So when you come in as a 1L or even a 2L, we encourage you to try literally everything inside the firm. We want you to experience all the practice groups that you're interested in experiencing. So even if you think you want to be tax, try something in corporate, try bankruptcy, try litigation, do whatever you would like to do to really learn what you think you want to do and check off boxes that aren't what you want to do. The formal training and development during the program has both the formal aspect and the informal aspect, obviously the soft skills of getting to be a young professional in a law firm and learning how to work with other people in these areas, but also the harder skills of actually working with the practice groups, of learning what the real estate folks do, what do the investment management folks do, and so forth. And we do provide for all of our 1Ls a writing coach, because the writing is so massively important, whether you are a litigator or a corporate folk. So we want to give you the opportunity to even better hone your skills. And the Summer Associate Conference, we started this past summer. It was a great success. We're going to continue to do it. All the summer associates, 1L and 2 over the entire law firm, they convene upon one city to interact with each other for a week to really, get sort of that one Lowenstein feel we like to call. And the mentorship has both formal and informal. You are assigned 3 mentors, a partner, an associate, and a buddy, and they guide you through the entire process from the beginning to the end. And of course, lots of social opportunities with food and beer and all that good stuff. The logistics itself, the application is already past tense open. So if you want to apply, you can start doing so as early as last week. So please select one office with which you are interested. It's a rolling basis application, so you can submit now, and when you get your grades in, you can update your application. And we also offer tuitions and scholarship stipends. The numbers are there. And of course, the 1Ls are paid the standard rate of, of the first year associate, the second year associate. That's the rates that we pay. And I'm conscious of time. Am I doing all right? All right. And just as a preview for
you got 2 more minutes.
Oh, really? Well, I'm a fast talker, I suppose. Then for 2L, for as a preview for folks, the application will open mid-May, and then just like the 1L recruiting is also a rolling process. If you don't have all your grades, feel free to apply early and often, and you can submit your application even if you don't have your grades. Interviews begin in June. I think with many firms in the space, interviews are pretty fast and furious. So we want to start the interviews in June and really be done filling out the class only a few weeks thereafter. So with that, I thank you, folks, and I've succeeded my last 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Peter. And you could find the link for Lowenstein's mailing list in the chat. I also failed to mention the same thing with Goodwin. So following up on Kevin's presentation, please check out the chat for some information about Goodwin's 1L mailing list and links to learn about Goodwin's 1L programs and their careers generally. And again, same with Lowenstein. Reminder, before we move on to the next one, use the Q&A for any questions that you have. And I'm moderating that. I'm keeping an eye on that. And make sure you check the link in the chat to join our raffle and/or allow your attendance to be shared with the firms who are joining us. All right, so let's move on to the next presentation. Proskauer, Janicelynn, turning it over to you.
Oh, I'm going to talk actually.
Oh, okay.
Just this part.
Yep, take it away.
Okay. Also, I just saw someone ask if we could share the decks. I'm happy to send that along if you want to. Okay, I'm going to share. Okay. You guys see it? Okay. All right. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the firm, our offices, all that. You can find all that on the website. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any specific questions. So just a little bit about our 1L program. So we call it our Silver Scholar program. Our applications actually opened this past Friday, and they close on January 24th. The requirements are resume, law school transcript, which we know you guys don't have yet because you haven't even taken finals yet. Please feel free to apply now. We'll reach out back to you probably end of December to get your transcripts. And then we also ask for a personal statement, which asks for you to describe how your background, accomplishments, and/or leadership experience will specifically contribute to advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion at Proskauer. We ask that you provide specific examples of how you've advocated for or progress diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. If you have any questions while applying, anything, feel free to reach out. There's contact information on the website. So about the Silver Scholar experience, all the 1Ls spend their entire summer, which is 10 weeks, with us. You're fully integrated into the program, just as our 2Ls are. You have the same exact experience as our 2Ls, which I'll go into a little bit in 2 slides from now. Then when you return as a 2L, if you choose to do so, which we would hope you do, you have the opportunity to either split your summer and do 5 weeks with us and 5 weeks with a client. Some of our clients that some of our previous 1L summers have split with before are listed here: CAA, Broadway League, NBC, MLS. And we work with you to determine, based on your practice area interests, your personal interests, what would be the best client to split with. Again, you're not obligated to do the client split. It really depends. Some summers want to come back because they're not positive they found the right practice area for them, so they want to do the full 10 weeks with us as a 2L. That's perfectly fine. Some people do know what they want to do, so they want that client experience. Completely up to you, and we work with you to figure that out. So if you do decide to spend both full summers with us, you get and come back as a first year associate, you get a $50,000, and that's payable in 3 installments. So if you do the full 10 weeks after your 1L, 10 weeks after you're a 2L, and then come back and join the firm, it's paid out in 3 installments here. Some people choose, they do their first, their 1L summer with us, and then they want to go somewhere else. Perfectly fine. We understand, you want to have options. We love when people come back and join us though. What we usually tend to do is just ask that you spend your second summer at least 2 weeks with us at the end of the summer. We work with firms to, figure out, accommodate, different things. Just looking at the clock here. Okay. So a little bit about the work you do as a summer. And again, like I said, this is all exactly what a 2L experience would be like. We don't treat our 1Ls any different than we would treat our 2Ls. So we don't have a formal rotation process. All 1Ls and 2Ls can try whatever they want throughout the summer. You can try litigation, you can try private client, you can try corporate, within corporate, you can try funds, you can try M&A. Kind of get the gist. All the assignments go through the recruiting department. So the summer associates can kind of rank their preferences week by week. So you can change what you want to work on. If you want to work on one thing throughout the summer, you're welcome to do that. But you basically, what it comes down to is you have the opportunity to work on a variety of matters throughout the summer. In addition to the weekly lunches we have on a variety of substantive topics, we have workshops throughout the summer. We have corporate practice specific workshops. We have a mock trial. We have a mediation workshop, all types of different trainings that go on throughout the summer. You're also assigned, this isn't listed here, but you're also assigned a partner mentor and an associate mentor that's based on your practice area interests. And you're also assigned a small group within our summer associate committee, which Janicelynn, who you'll hear from a little later on, serves on. So you have mentors in that way as well. And then the best part about our firm, which
Erica, I'm going to have to stop you on just to stay on
okay.
time. If that's
Okay.
Any
Well,
one last point you want to make?
I know we're not allowed to say what's the best part about your firm is the people. That's your rule, but this gives you a good overview. Last point I want to make is please go to the breakout rooms. We did a lot of these last year, and the breakout rooms are the best part. They really give us a chance to kind of interact in smaller groups. So that's it.
I'll give you a pass because you did my job promoting the breakout rooms. I like that.
Okay.
I'm kidding around. Thanks, Erica. All right. So moving on to our last presentation, Willkie. So I hand it over to you. John, take it away. In the meantime, I'm going to post some of Proskauer's links in the chat and also scroll up in the chat to check out the links from Goodwin and Lowenstein. All right, John, take it away.
Great. Thanks, Albert. So no slides for me, but I will walk through some of the experience at Willkie and the overview of our summer program, particularly for 1L. So I am John Brennan. I'm a litigation partner and one of the hiring partners at Willkie FAR. We have offices throughout the United States in New York, DC, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, San Francisco, Palo Alto, and Los Angeles. And we hire summer associates every year in all 8 of those offices. Our summer associates perform work across all of our practice areas. I was a summer associate at Willkie about a decade ago, and it was a fantastic experience. And now I work pretty extensively with summers every year. So that includes actual work assignments, like research writing, in the litigation group. It includes observational experience. So if I'm going to court or having a call with opposing counsel that I think might be interesting, that's something we give summers a chance to join. It includes training programs, like we do a mock arbitration for the litigation group, a mock negotiation for the corporate folks. And then outside of work, we have, outside of the work experience, we have what are called SIG groups. Those are summer integration groups, which are a good way for our summers to get some mentorship, get to know partners and associates, and also each other. And outside of that, we have some fun social events, of course. Our summer class is made up mostly of 2Ls. We do hire 1Ls in all 8 of our US offices, but the numbers are limited. There's a couple of things I want to note about being a 1L summer specifically. So one is if you return as a 2L after being a 1L summer, we do offer a $50,000 scholarship. Another is that the work experience differs somewhat for 1L summer associates as compared to the 2L summer associates. So for the 2Ls at Willkie, we have our summers choose between 2 tracks. One is a litigation group, and they do, all work in litigation department and some bankruptcy litigation as well. And then we have a transactional group that does work in a variety of different transactional practice areas. And as a 1L and as a 2L, I think that's, worked very well for us. It keeps our groups a little more tight knit. And if you're someone who knows that you want to do litigation or knows that you want to do transactional, it's good to have that certainty going into the summer and to get that experience. As a 1L, we don't have those limitations. So you can, try out whatever you want. If you really want to do litigation and you know that, you can spend most of your 1L summer in litigation. But if you want to try other things, you'll have the chance to do that. So if you get to do the 1L and the 2L summer, you kind of get the best of both worlds. There are 2 avenues for hiring 1Ls at Willkie Summer Associates. One is a general 1L position. Another is the LCLD client relationships, where we do a bulk of our 1L hiring, and those summer associates will split part of their summers with firm clients in New York with MetLife and Residio, in Houston and New York with AIG Corebridge, in California with Meta, Facebook, and in Washington, D.C. with Comcast. And so that's as a 1L, you get to split your time between those 2 places, and then you get to come back as a 2L and join the usual 2L routine. To apply as a 1L, you should use the portal rather than emailing recruiting or an attorney, because we do not want your application materials to get lost. But once your transcript is released or there's any other updates, you should feel free to follow up with recruiting, but make sure your initial application goes through the portal. Our posting for 1L hiring for this upcoming summer went live on November 15th. If you apply, resumes are reviewed on a rolling basis, and we plan to do the majority of our interviewing in January after the first semester grades are released. Because we're doing interviewing in January, whether you apply now or in December, beginning of January, you're not at an advantage or disadvantage, but we hope you do get your application in, use the portal, and, looking forward to speaking with some of you then. Thanks.
All right. Thanks so much, John. Appreciate it. And I'll be sharing the link in the chat right now for folks to sign up for Willkie's, for the link for folks to learn more about Willkie's 1L program and careers generally. So thanks a lot, John. All right. So let's move on to our really insightful panel. I'm excited about this. So I guess all the presenters stick around. So we'll get started for the discussion. And just a reminder before we do that, all the links are in the chat to sign up for the different firm information on the firm websites, the different links to apply to sign up for the mailing list. We're going to have some really cool prize raffles coming up at the end of this panel, so please make sure to stick around. And as Erica mentioned, thank you again for that plug. The breakout rooms are one of the best things that we offer, starting at about 8:15, maybe between 8:15 and 8:20 Eastern time. We're going to be opening up those breakout rooms so you can ask different questions to the firm representatives in the different breakout rooms. So make sure to stay for that. All right, so let's get started. First question, I think a really important question. What do you look for in a 1L candidate? Aside from just meeting, the technical application requirements, what are the things that you look for specifically? So I'm going to tee this up to Janicelynn. Why don't you start with this one?
Thanks, Albert. One thing that I always like to look for is sort of your thought process. Can you explain, what you're working on? Tell me how you're thinking through the challenging issues that you're looking at. Tell me a little bit about how you handled something and what your thought process was in working that out. At the end of the day, we're lawyers for people who are, highly sophisticated, and, that's an important aspect of it. The other thing I look for is maturity, and that can show up in different ways. It's like how you present yourself. It could be lived experiences. It could be work experiences, and just how you've learned from those experiences and bring those to the table and share a little bit of your history.
Love that. Kevin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think for me, just personally, like, one of our main goals is finding candidates who we expect and hope will have a long, successful career at Goodwin, right? And so that can take, the path to that can take many different forms. But some of the commonalities that we see are kind of like, number one, sharing a passion for the types of markets and industries that I mentioned earlier, having a passion for technology or life sciences or something like that. That will really kind of, when you kind of combine the legal excellence with a passion, right, that is a good foundation for a long and successful career. And then the other thing is, someone who exemplifies our culture, right? We really do thrive on collaboration, legal excellence, creativity, grit, resilience, adaptability, because we work with so many startup, companies and founders and things like that. So, someone who exemplifies that culture, is also someone, that we're looking for.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. So of course, all these firms, I'm sure, get a nice number of 1L applications, very popular and well-known firms. Just taking it a step further, how can a 1L candidate stand out in the recruiting process? Peter, I'm going to start with you here. Curious for your thoughts.
Sure. So, given that most people who are 1Ls and don't have a tremendous amount of life experiences yet because you're 1L, anything that you can put on side your resume to demonstrate that you have gone through as much a diverse, unique background as you can is, of course, tremendously helpful on paper. The other aspect, I think, of really making yourself stand out to the firm you're applying to is that you actually want to be at that firm. We at Lowenstein call it the stickiness factor. And, people who sort of submit thousands of resumes, just throw them out in the wind and say, okay, who's going to pick me up? And they don't really know anything about the firm, the interviewer, the culture. That's nice, I suppose, but you're not going to stay long-term with us. And we would like to have the people who come work with us, love us, and stay with us forever. So stickiness is an important thing to try to convey to wherever you apply. And I recognize if you're submitting a lot of applications, that sounds tricky to do, to convince everybody that you love them and only them. But it's up to you to walk that line.
That's great advice. John, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I agree with everything Peter said. I would say also, from the perspective of interviewing 1L candidates, one big question that I always have is, not only why do you want to come to our firm, but why do you want to be a summer associate at a firm this summer? Because you don't have to be. There's lots of options for 1L in a way that there isn't necessarily. It's not the same as 2L. And so you should be prepared, I think, to be able to explain a compelling reason why it is you're looking to work at a firm. And it could be that you don't have a lot of experience or knowledge of how firms work and you want to learn about it. Could be you want to learn about different practice areas. It could be that you need money. So there could be a lot of reasons why, but you should be yourself and I think be able to convey that reason, because when we're looking at a lot of candidates, we want to know that someone has a really compelling reason for wanting to be here.
Great. That's great advice. So moving on, the 1L process is obviously, the 1L application process is obviously happening now. The 2L process is not far behind. It's not a secret that the hiring timelines have been accelerated a bit. So for many 1Ls who are on the program now, they may be looking at 2L opportunities, not that far away. So what is the best way to express interest during the 2L process if you're not selected as a 1L during the 1L process? So Kevin, I'm curious for your thoughts here.
Yeah, I mean, to some degree, it sort of happens automatically, right? Like, I think, we do end up, for folks who apply to our 1L Diversity Fellowship, even if they don't get the fellowship, we will also then, at that point, kind of automatically consider them, for their 2L summer as well, right? So it kind of happens automatically, but I think the thing that candidates can do is just, stay in touch with the legal recruiting folks and express interest and kind of reinforce, your interest in the firm and why you're interested in the firm. And, I think the rest will sort of take care of itself.
Yeah, that's great. John, I'm going to kick it back to you. What are your thoughts there? Anything to add?
Yeah, I would just add that, you shouldn't be discouraged if you don't get, a 1L position somewhere, because as I said, and I think it's the case for everyone, there are just not a lot of 1L positions available, and it's becoming more and more of something that people do, as a 1L. So if you get a decision that you're not, you don't get an offer somewhere as a 1L, don't take it as this place doesn't want me. It's because it's often really not the case. And, as Kevin said, similar at Willkie, we will, I think, make an effort to stay in touch with those people that we've met with. And you should do the same if you find yourself in that position and you're still interested in working at that place.
I think that's fantastic advice, and like you said, not a lot of spots necessarily at so many firms for the 1L programs. One of the reasons firms love joining programs like this is to meet students, not just for now, but for future programs like 2L. So definitely great advice, kind of thinking about it more long term. So so you're a 1L, and let's say I'm a 1L. I join a firm as a 1L summer, and I'm at the firm. What is the best advice that you have to succeed as a 1L summer associate, whether it's at your firm or just generally? So Janicelynn, I'm going to tee it up for you here.
Thanks. So I think, a successful 1L is no different than a successful 2L, right? The program, at least at Proskauer, is the same. You're integrated into the 2L summer program. And so I think it's the same advice that we give to 2L summers. Be communicative. You're working with a team. You have, associates or partners that you're working with who are relying on the work that you're providing. That work is probably going to a client on, whatever timeline you discussed. And so, try to keep people updated if things are changing, and just, it's a job. But at the same time, like, the job is also the social events, because, that's a place where you're starting to build the community that's going to be there with you and for you for the next several years, hopefully after you come back. An opportunity to kind of interact with partners and more senior associates in a less formal setting, and really just get to know some of the people and the people that we think make the firm really great.
That's great. Peter, what are your thoughts?
Sure, I'd say that what's unique about a lot of summer programs is your ability to try everything. And I strongly encourage you to do so, because a lot of what you're doing here is not only finding out what you want to do with your career, it's what you don't want to do with your career. When I was at 1L, I wasn't working at a firm. I split my time into two different judges, a criminal law judge and a family law judge. It was a great experience because I knew that I didn't want to do either of those ever again in my life. And that's valuable information.
That's great. Process of elimination sometimes when thinking about practice areas. So last question before we move on to some of the more firm-specific promotion. So to all law students, firms can kind of all look the same. Especially first semester 1Ls, who are on this program, kind of being exposed to law firms for the first time. So what do you suggest to the 1Ls on our program here on how to tell law firms apart now or later in the school year when they might be considering firms as part of the 2L process? Saltito, whoever wants to chime in on this one, I would love to hear your thoughts to kick it off.
I would say speak with people who've worked there, who've been summers. If you know someone in your law school, if anyone you can try to get in touch with, even if you don't know someone, try to make that outreach, because I think there's no better way. It is very hard to read everyone's websites and read Vault and things like that. There's only so much you can learn. So try to talk to real people.
I'll just jump in and say, if you've narrowed down, if you happen to know, a couple areas that you're interested in or want to summer at a firm that you think has expertise in these particular areas, one thing is to look at trade journals. Like Vault is great because it gives you the big picture. But if you want to do funds, you want to look at, a funds trade journal, and they'll talk about, the firms that are most active in that space and what they're doing. If you're looking for, litigation, I'm sure there are litigation trade journals, and you'll hear about, where are people doing the most interesting trials and things like that. And you'll get a sense of whether a law firm that you're exploring is viewed by their peers in the same way as well.
I'm going to put in a shameless plug for Summer Associate Hub. We have a lot of really good content on there to learn about practice areas, learn about firms, and in addition to the really nice tools that Janicelynn mentioned, it's a great way to prepare for the process and hear from different firms and hear about different practice areas. All right, so I'm gonna take one question we got from the audience, which I thought was a great question, and then I wanted to go back to our last question. So the question we had here: how can somebody with a public interest background leverage their experience to excel as a candidate and employee if offered the position? And I'll just add, I'm curious to hear about this not only as a 1L summer, but also as a 2L summer, or. So curious to hear any thoughts on that.
So by public interest background, it sounds like you mean that you used to work in the public sector or have interest there. So I spent about half of my career so far in the public sector, so I'm happy to take that one. I was in the New Jersey Attorney General's office on the civil side, worked for Governor Christie for a few years, and also back in the AD's office again as the first assistant. So demonstrating on your resume that you have that itch and you have that knack and you know how to navigate politics is one of those things I mentioned that sort of sets you apart on your resume, because a lot of people, you know, they go straight from high school to college to law school, myself included, and then have a lot of other life experiences or flavors for what to do and if you had with their life. And if you have done that before, really press that in your cover letter and your resume, because it's a really cool experience. It sets you apart.
That's great. All right, so we're going to move on to our last question. It's my favorite question, which is why should a law student work at your firm? We're also going to be using this as an opportunity to start our prize raffle. And as each firm answers the question, we're going to be raffling off prizes. So our rule here, as Eric alluded to before, our rule here is at Summer Associate Hub, the answer cannot be it's the people. As a lot of 1Ls will soon see, the answer seems to always be the people, even if it might be true. So we'd like to urge our participants to answer with something else. So why should a law student work at your firm? I'm just going to go to order of my Zoom screen. I'm going to go with you, Peter. I'll stick with you. So 30 seconds or less. Why should a law student work at Lowenstein?
Sure. What I really love about the firm from the work perspective is that we do sophisticated, heavy hitting stuff at the same, the top notch firms in the world, but we do it with much smaller teams. So I'm in litigation, for instance. It is such a very rare thing for a litigation matter to have more than like 2 or 3 people working on it. Get 4, that's a rare thing. And so I think that's really exciting, because that means that you are working on exciting stuff on the front lines right out of law school.
All right, love it. So Lowenstein will be raffling off a branded tumbler, insulated tumbler. If you just bear with me for 1 second, I will key that up. All right, so we have this fun raffle prize here. All right, let's see. Sorry, taking a little bit of time here. All right, Nicole Sagolian, if you are with us, let us know in the Q&A. All right, so up next, John, 30 seconds or less. Why should a law student come to Willkie?
Sure. So just relying on my own experience, I think I'd say that I got really good experience and opportunities very early on, and much earlier than I thought I would. Cross-examining witnesses, participating in trial, arguing motions, drafting briefs. And I think that that's not out of the ordinary. And I think part of it is it goes with the culture, and that the lawyers that I worked for, and I've seen this happen all the time, really fought for me to get those opportunities and stood up for me and supported me. And so that last half of it is a little bit of a cheat, because I kind of talked about people, but that's it for me.
That's all right. That's acceptable. All right. So Eli Bach, if you're with us, you have won a Willkie Stanley Cup, which is Stanley Cups are very popular. That's a good one. So Eli, if you're with us, please let us know in the Q&A that you're with us. All right, moving on. Janicelynn, 30 seconds or less. Why should a law student come to Proskauer?
I think the firm is a wonderful place to be. It's a place where they really care about their associates from start to finish. Incredibly collaborative, and a lot of programs that will support you, whether it's training as a first-year associate, mentorship programs as you're, starting out and as a mid-level, and then also sponsorship programs that will really kind of help you see what you need to do to take the leap. And if you want to stay at the firm or go to a client, really just facilitate and help support you however you want your career to look. And so really great place.
Awesome. All right. So winner, Proskauer coffee mug and Starbucks gift card. We need the coffee to keep you going during final season. Michael Coonan, if you're with us, please let us know in the Q&A. Michael. All right. And then last but not least, Kevin, 30 seconds or less. Why should a law student come to Goodwin?
Yeah, I think, we work with some of the, best, most innovative companies and investors and private equity firms that are really kind of at the frontier of their industries. And, so it is really challenging and it can be hard at times, but, if you're someone who's interested in that and, and share our, cultural qualities of creativity and grit and perseverance and legal excellence, then, you can have a really, fun and rewarding career here at Goodwin.
Fantastic. All right. And we have a great prize here. JBL wireless headphones, Goodwin branded. So really cool prize. The winner is Maya Morkin. If you're with us, please let us know in the Q&A. Please let us know in the Q&A as soon as possible if you're with us. And then last but not least, we have our grand prize for Apple AirPods Pro 2, sponsored by yours truly, Summer Associate of Dylan Jardine. If you're with us, please let us know in the Q&A as soon as possible. While we're waiting and getting the breakout rooms ready, I just want to thank all of our participants for some really great presentations, for our 1Ls to learn about the different firms, a really insightful panel discussion. For anyone who has any firm-specific questions, the breakout room is a great way to do that. So in a second, I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. It's going to be really easy if you just use the breakout room function. I'll just do that right now. If you use the breakout room function, you'll be able to see the different breakout rooms for each firm. You could join each one. The firm representatives will be there answering questions, chatting with students. One thing I always like to mention is make sure you bounce around. Don't just stick around in one breakout room. All of the representatives are taking time out of their evening to join us. It's always important to hear the different perspectives, different firms. You can compare and contrast and see what resonates with you. So as you join the breakout rooms, please make sure you consider joining multiple ones, and it'll be really easy to do that with our breakout room functionality. So with that, thanks everyone for joining, and stick around for just 1 second as we open the breakout rooms. Thanks everyone.